Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I'm going to do kind of a quasi-review right now of these two knives. These are both CJRB Feldspars, the large one and the small one. And these were sent to me by, well, they were sent to me by Kyle, but they're sent to me from Kevin, LeftyEDC, who I will link down below. Kevin started a channel recently. He's making awesome knife content, and he's cranking out videos. He's like trying to keep up with me, which not many YouTubers do. He's putting out 1 or 2 videos a day, it seems like, and he's a really good dude. He also has the distinct perspective of being a lefty with knives. And so you'll notice both of these are actually set up for a lefty. I haven't switched them over because I haven't carried these knives. I've just kind of fidgeted with them, and I've tried to put myself in a lefty's shoes a little bit. But yeah, these both belong to Kevin, so I will link down to him below for loaning these to me. They were both modified heavily by BJ Hill of Hilltop Knives and Gear. So I'll link to BJ's channel as well, since he's the one who did these mods, and that's really what makes these extra compelling compared to all the other reviews of regular CJRB Feldspars, which I think there are quite a few. Anyway, so let's just kind of talk about them one at a time, and then I'll probably hold up both here and there as well. But this is the little Feldspar, the small one, and I haven't handled a regular Feldspar. These modded ones are the only ones I've handled, so I can't speak to the quality of the knife when it's straight from factory, but I can speak to how cool these are. I guess real quick I'll show the mods on both of them. So they've both been RIT dyed. They have purple scales. They both have anodized hardware throughout, which has been kind of bronzed. The pivot collars, the body screws, the clips are all bronzed. The pivot itself is still left kind of satin, which I like because it contrasts with the pivot collar. You'll notice the color on each one is a little different. That's kind of the nature of RIT dye in my experience. It's hard to, especially if you don't do them right at the same time, to have them come out exactly the same is a little difficult. But they both look cool. This one's kind of like a darker purple. This one's kind of like a blurple. And they also both have the hole in the blade. So they've been modified. Instead of having thumb studs like they typically do, they now have kind of a spidey hole. And then the blades have been stone-washed, well, acid-etched and then stone-washed, which turned out really, really nice. So totally different blade finish on these now as well. And they've got nice mirrored edges on them. So really fantastic handiwork. Also, I don't know if the liner from factory is stone washed, but I think BJ did that as well because it matches perfectly with the blade finish. So that's another thing internally. So both of these knives have nested liners, which I really like. Pretty simple construction, couple of standoffs, nice loop over style deep carry clip, which I'll show here. It is nested into the handle scale and has countersunk screws. That's my favorite way for a pocket clip to be done. Kudos to CJRB for doing that here on a budget knife. That they've done such a fantastic job on the clip. I think is a really good thing. The blade shape I really like. The finishing, like I said, looks phenomenal. But yeah, what I was real curious about these on was how middle finger deployment was going to be with the holes. If you watch the unboxing, you'll have seen I kind of struggled a little bit with them. I still do. I've played with them a decent bit here at my desk because I've been editing and stuff, and I've gotten it down to where I pretty much got it just about every time. I still fail every now and then, though. The reality is, as a right-handed person, if you look in here, you'll see on the lock side, the lock tab blocks part of that hole, right? And this is typically a thumb stud knife, so the thumb stud would normally be fairly accessible, I think, from both sides, but because I'm a right-handed person, trying to get it from the back, it's just a little bit, you gotta I gotta just get like the meat of my fingertip in there, gotta make sure my hand is lined up right, and then I get it. But it's not perfect to get to. Now, what's cool for Kevin being a lefty is hole access is better on that side. So on that side, I can get like my fingernail in there, which feels a little bit more secure, and I can get it better. I'm a weird person in the sense that I'm left-handed for certain things. Like on paper, I'd probably actually be identified as being left-handed because I write with my left hand. I'm not good at writing with my right hand. I've always written with my left hand. I draw, I color, everything with my left hand. I shoot with my left hand, and I eat with my left hand, but when it comes to most knives, like for pocket knives, fixed blades, outdoor, like EDC, it doesn't matter. Knives go in my right hand. Although I pass them to my left hand kind of a lot. Because for fine motor skills, I notice when I'm doing like really detailed stuff, I tend to go to my left hand. Or if I'm outdoors and I'm like chopping, just depending on where I'm standing in relation to what I'm trying to chop. Sometimes if I feel I get better leverage with my left hand, without even thinking about it, I pass things to my left hand because I'm really confident in it. I'm kind of ambidextrous in that way. And then in the kitchen, if I'm like slicing bread, I use my left hand for some reason. Or even like, yeah, it's weird because if I'm cutting food on my plate, I keep my fork in my left hand and I cut with my right hand. But if I'm cutting like vegetables to prep to go in the pot, I'll use my left hand. I'm weird about it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is like I relate to Kevin a lot of the time when he's talking about the kind of pitfalls of being a left-handed knife collector. But I'm lucky in the sense that even though I'm left-handed for so many things, the comfortable and the best way I feel for me to carry a primary pocket knife is front right pocket and to use it in my right hand. If I was in a defensive situation with my knife, it would go in my right hand. And so that's just, it's a weird thing about me. But anyways, for Kevin, this is perfect because the whole access for spidey flicking is better as a lefty on this knife just because of the way that that lock is cut. And I think it's, like if you look at a knife like the Spyderco Spidey Chef, I've heard from a couple of lefties that for them they almost feel like it's a better knife for lefties because of that same reason. On the frame lock side, the lock covers part of the hole on that knife, whereas on the show side it doesn't. And so if you're lefty, you're accessing the hole to middle finger flick from what is the show side for everyone else. It's like all reversed, right? But this one, if you're right-handed and you're asking me like, is it possible to, if you have one of these modified for the hole, to middle finger flick it? Yes. It's just better for lefties. So a win for Kevin. But yeah, the little one is a lot of fun. The big one, I'll say for me, I have a better time fidgeting with. Mostly just because I think in general, bigger knives fidget a little better for me. There's just more weight and they feel more substantial in hand and they're a little more fun to play with. And this is the same in every way other than it's bigger. So it's got a little more weight to it as well. But again, on this one, to middle finger flick it, I can do it. It works. I get enough hole access that it's doable. I just don't have like, it's, again, the same thing. The hole's partially covered. It's just a bigger hole because it's a bigger blade. So it's a little bit easier for me to get. Again, though, as a lefty, you get much better hole access, and it just works better in that hand. So if you're a lefty and you've got one of these, no-brainer. I think doing a hole mod is a great way to go because I'm Mr. Holes are greater than studs, right? I prefer it. That's my favorite way to deploy a knife, and I think on this one, I don't know, if I had one of these and I was looking to mod it, I think I'd probably still do the hole mod. I think I still prefer this with my right hand to studs by a little, but this isn't like the perfect knife for a hole because there's just, you don't have all that much room there. Anyway, so both these are really nice. I don't need to go all that crazy into detail about them, I don't think. But I can just say that these are the first knives I've handled that have been modded by BJ, and they're excellent. His work is really, really good on these. I think his finishing is really good. The edges he put on these knives are phenomenal. Really, really sharp and attractive. Like good mirror polished, just impressive edges. His finish on the blade looks great. I'm not normally a huge acid stonewash kind of guy, although lately I've been liking it more and more. But I think, I don't know, as much as it's not like my favorite thing, whenever I've encountered a knife that it's done really, that it's done really well on, I like it. And sometimes I think maybe it's just the amount of stonewashing that's done, where it looks like too roughed up or something, and this is just kind of like just the right amount of stonewashing on here, for me at least. So yeah, these are really nice. I like them quite a bit. I think it's pretty cool to take a budget knife and make it unique and personalized and enhance it to your own likings. And so I think it's a fun project that Kevin did by sending these out to BJ, and they turned out really well. So there you have it. I guess that'll be my kind of thoughts, my quasi-review, not based on any use or carry, but just based on fidgeting with, playing with, and getting a feel for these two CJRB Feldspars, or as Kyle from D2M Knives and Gear would call them, CRJB Feldspars, modified by JB Hill of Top Hill Knives and Gear. He always jumbles everything up, which we make fun of him for a lot. Anyway, these have been a lot of fun. Thank you again, Kev. I appreciate it. I will link to Kevin and to BJ down in the description below so you can check them out. And I'll see you guys on the next one.